CES 2026 is over, and the future has arrived in full force. CES 2026, the most influential technology event on the planet, has just come to an end, and as always, it showed us the latest advances in gadgets, incredible high-tech concepts, robot updates, and the main trends for the coming years. And of course, I've compiled everything that was best there into this episode. Stick with me, and I'll show you all of it right now. Between January 6th and 9th, one of the most anticipated events in the tech world took place in Las Vegas. For over 50 years, this exhibition has been the global stage for innovation and the world's largest technology fair. It gives us a taste of what our technological year of 2026 will be like. So, let's check out these highlights. The next 7 technologies I'm about to show you, presented at CES 2026, seem to have come straight out of an episode of Black Mirror, except in real life. The fair didn't disappoint when it came to cutting-edge products, but a more discreet pattern stood out among the booths. Some of the most eye-catching technologies weren't created for screens or productivity panels. They were designed to be frighteningly close to us, in personal spaces like bedrooms, work desks, and even inside our own minds. Throughout the fair's hallways, devices emerged that analyze facial blood flow, monitor brain activity, archive daily conversations, analyze biological waste, and even simulate emotional companionship. All of this was presented as wellness, productivity, or convenience, and many are already consumer-ready, with prices, subscriptions, and short-term availability. A smart mirror, for example, promises to estimate your physiological age and predict health risks decades in advance, simply by observing your face for a few seconds. It's not a traditional clinical exam, but an algorithm that transforms the everyday act of looking at yourself in the mirror into a silent judgment about your biological future. It's a reminder that our bodies can become data. At another booth, headphones with brain sensors measure mental fatigue, focus, and cognitive performance in real time. The promise is to improve performance, but when attention becomes a metric, it also becomes something to be corrected, optimized, or demanded. The startup Clyde presented intelligent hair clippers that promise error-free haircuts, automatically adjusting the blades as you run the clipper over your head. The curious detail is that before you start, you need to strap a thick band around your head so the artificial intelligence can track exactly where it's cutting. Then, you just turn it on and trust that the algorithm knows more about the shape of your skull than you or your barber. But the haircut wasn't the strangest part of the fair. The famous desktop anime girls are officially back. Razer presented holographic anime avatars with cameras, microphones, and generative artificial intelligence running locally. It could be a cat-eared waifu or a tattooed husband named Jane. They aren't just smart assistants, they are constant presences. It's easy to laugh at all of this until you realize that millions of people already spend more time interacting with interfaces than with other human beings. These AIs use the camera, microphones, and a direct connection to the computer to observe everything you do on the screen and give real-time tips. The brain behind this is Grok from xAI, yes, the one from Elon Musk. In the corporate environment, digital clones trained on real emails, meetings, and decisions are already capable of representing employees in calls, training sessions, and internal processes. Work seems to be starting to detach from the human body. What matters is no longer physical presence, but the amount of data left behind. But perhaps the most unsettling innovations at CES 2026 were those that mess with perception and intimacy. L'Oreal presented a flexible silicone mask, almost like a second skin, equipped with red and infrared LEDs. When turned on, it emits light patterns that resemble veins pulsing on the face. The promise is firmness, rejuvenation, and deep skin treatment. The visual effect, however, is disturbing. It doesn't look like a cosmetic, it looks like a medical device, something out of a laboratory. And perhaps this is the most symbolic of all: small devices designed to automatically record daily life. People, conversations, moments. Nothing needs to be remembered anymore. Everything can be retrieved. Forgetting, something essentially human, begins to look like a system error. In previous years, humanoid robots at CES seemed like polite visits from a not-so-near future. They impressed, posed for photos, performed rehearsed movements, and went back into their transport boxes. At CES 2026, everything changed. For the first time, the humanoids weren't there to show what they could do someday. They were there to show that they can already work in factories, homes, hospitals, and real public environments, with clients, contracts, and scheduled delivery dates. The strongest symbol of this shift came from Boston Dynamics. The company officially revealed the production version of the Electric Atlas. And no choreographed jumps to go viral. The Atlas rose from the ground using a joint rotation that no human could imitate, making it clear that it's not there to copy people, but to surpass them physically. With 56 degrees of freedom, a reach of over 2 meters, and the ability to lift up to 50 kilograms, it was designed for continuous operation in industrial environments. The partnership with Google DeepMind brought the Gemini Robotics artificial intelligence into the Atlas, allowing it to reason about complex tasks in unstructured environments. The most important detail came at the end. The first units go into real operation now in 2026, at the Hyundai factory in Georgia. It's no longer research, it's already a production line. While Atlas represents the pinnacle of Western engineering, Unitree made it clear that the game is also about scale. The Chinese company presented 3 humanoids, G1, H2, and R1, with a much more aggressive market approach. The G1 drew attention with rapid, almost martial movements, demonstrating balance and fine control. Compact, foldable, and designed for mass production, it contrasts with the H2, aimed at heavier industrial applications. Unitree's message was direct: humanoid robots won't be rare, they will be common among us. The transition to the robot as a service model made this even more evident. Instead of selling a machine, the company is selling continuous work. If humanoids are arriving with force in factories, at home the discourse changes a bit, but the intention is the same. LG presented the Q9, the physical version of its vision of a work-free home. And for the first time, this didn't sound like empty marketing. The Q9 folded clothes, loaded the dishwasher, and prepared food using common appliances in a realistic home environment. It doesn't walk, it moves on wheels, because LG says it prioritized stability and efficiency over appearance. Powered by vision, language, and action models, the Q9 isn't just a robot, it's a digital butler with arms connected to the entire house. This same logic appeared at the Agility Robotics booth. The company officially entered the North American market by presenting the A2 series, the humanoid already produced in thousands of units. At nearly 1.70 meters tall, with 360-degree sensors and a focus on hospitality, the A2 was shown acting as a guide in museums and showrooms. For now, there is still human supervision in crowded environments, but the point is that it is already being manufactured, shipped, and used here in the West. The launch of Genin 3.0 made the next step clear: training robots in simulated environments before releasing them into the real world, reducing risks and accelerating adoption. Coming from Europe, Neurorobotics presented perhaps the most ambitious humanoid at the fair. The Robot 4NE1, now in its third generation, was redesigned with help from the FA Porsche studio, combining heavy engineering with clean industrial aesthetics. Capable of lifting up to 100 kilograms, with artificial skin sensitive to proximity and skill sharing via StarCraft, the robot learns and passes on knowledge to others in real time. Equipped with NVIDIA Isaac GR00T, the 4NE1 doesn't just react to commands, it understands context. Neura's proposal is clear: to be the only humanoid that transitions between factories, homes, and public environments, a truly general-purpose robot. Meanwhile, SwitchBot followed a more pragmatic path. The Honoro H1 doesn't try to walk like a human. It rolls, but compensates with highly articulated arms and a local perception system that doesn't rely on the cloud. During demonstrations, it collected clothes, cleaned surfaces, and interacted with disorganized objects. It's less spectacle, but more utility. The message is simple: if the goal is to help at home, stability matters much more than looking human. At the other extreme, Astribot decided not to shy away from controversy. The T800 appeared at CES 2026 as a direct response to skeptics who called its videos CGI. The robot demonstrated torque control, balance under impact, and high-force movements. Equipped with the Jetson Thor and costing around $25,000, the T800 was positioned as an industrial platform, despite its military aesthetic. Astribot bets that getting attention is also part of the adoption strategy. Closing the loop, Fourier Robotics, also Chinese, presented the GR3, a humanoid designed for care and social interaction. With a soft appearance, static sensors across its body, and a focus on healthcare environments, the GR3 danced, played chess, and interacted with visitors. It wasn't made to carry weight, but to deal with people, the elderly, rehabilitation patients, and public spaces, where simulated empathy can be as important as physical strength. There were also companion humanoids. Realbotics brought, in addition to the female models, the male version called David. According to the company, the robots are somewhat more autonomous, with AI that takes information from what it observes and makes decisions based on that. Before using the AI, it is trained in a certain number of human behaviors to be able to interpret and see. Both the male and female versions can recognize human emotions. They can also read, see colors, and improve emotional recognition. And you can customize the appearance, voice, and personality of your robot. When you look at all these robots together, something becomes clear. They don't compete with each other. They occupy different spaces in human life. Factories, homes, hospitals, services, care, brute force, extreme precision. CES 2026 didn't show a future dominated by robots. It showed a future that will be shared with them. For a long time, talking about solar energy almost always meant the same scene: rigid panels on the roof, an inverter on the wall, and the hope that the sun would do its part. CES 2026 made it clear that this model has become too small. The new generation of solar technologies doesn't just want to capture light. It wants to move, adapt, and hide within architecture, operating inside homes, recycling itself, and even surviving in space. What was seen at the fair is a quiet and profound shift. Solar energy has ceased to be a passive installation and has begun to behave like a living system. One example came from Jackery. Instead of just batteries and portable panels, the company revealed a living solar energy ecosystem. The Solar Marsbot, a wheeled robot equipped with retractable panels, repositions itself autonomously throughout the day, seeking the best solar angle using computer vision and light sensors. Alongside it, the solar gazebo showed how this logic can be applied to fixed structures. With a roof of solar louvers capable of generating up to 10 kilowatt-hours per day, it automatically adjusts to the sun's position. The message is simple but important. If the sun moves, the solar system should move too. This notion of embedded intelligence also appeared in bright solar smart solar windows. One of the major hurdles for smart glass has always been electrical complexity. The presented solution eliminates this entirely. The windows use liquid nanoparticles that generate energy and adjust tint without internal wiring. They feed on both sunlight and common artificial lighting. Each window functions as a small independent power plant, reducing the building's energy consumption and transforming entire facades into active infrastructure. While some companies took solar to glass, others decided to take it to fabric. Bright Innovations presented one of the boldest ideas: rollable perovskite solar panels, as thin as a common curtain. At just over 1 millimeter thick, the material can be stored in compact tubes and unrolled like a blind. Despite its delicate appearance, it achieves over 18% efficiency and works well even in low light. Solar energy no longer looks like industrial equipment and starts to behave like a design material that can be integrated into interiors, IoT, and portable devices. This transition to indoor environments became even clearer with Dracula Technologies. Instead of panels facing the sun, the company bets on capturing energy from the ambient lighting itself. The Layer version 2.0 system uses organic photovoltaics optimized for low light, capable of powering sensors, smart locks, and AI devices using only office or residential lighting. If this comes to scale, solar energy will no longer depend on the skies and will exist anywhere there is light. CES 2026 also showed that solar energy doesn't want to stay still or off the streets. Solarlic, linked to the Hyundai ecosystem, presented solar modules made of flexible polymers integrated directly into vehicle bodywork. Instead of rigid panels, the hood, roof, and trunk start capturing energy without harming aerodynamics. The gain can reach up to 24 kilometers of range per day, just from passive capture. It's not enough to replace charging, but it changes the logic. The car is no longer just an energy consumer and starts generating part of it while parked or in motion. While some companies think about the beginning of the solar technology's life cycle, others are already looking at its end. Solar Reborn drew attention by presenting a mobile solar recycling system mounted on a truck. Instead of transporting old panels over long distances, recycling happens directly at the plant site, separating glass, aluminum, and other materials with a high reuse rate, reducing costs and emissions. It's an unglamorous but essential detail. Without efficient recycling, clean energy just becomes a problem postponed. And the most distant innovation literally came from LENR technology. The company presented an ultra-thin aerospace-grade glass for satellite solar panels. With a thickness of tens of micrometers, it can be rolled inside rockets and unrolled in orbit. Unlike current flexible polymers, this glass resists radiation and atomic oxygen in space, drastically increasing satellite lifespan. Solar energy surpasses Earth and becomes a key piece of space infrastructure and future communication. At CES 2026, the most important innovations weren't always the biggest or flashiest. Many solved old problems in ways so obvious they make us wonder why they were never done before. Amid robots, AIs, and supercomputers, some of the most talked about technologies were precisely those that seemed strange, small, or even silly, until you understood what they really do. One of these ideas starts in an almost childish way: a lollipop. The lollipop star from Lavatech brands looks like a disposable toy, but when you bite it, something unexpected happens. The music doesn't come from a speaker, it emerges inside your head. Using bone conduction, the lollipop transmits vibrations through the jaw directly to the inner ear. The result isn't incredible sound quality, but a disconcerting sensory experience. People who tested it described a slight tingling sensation, and the music simply appears as if coming from nowhere. It's strange but memorable and reveals something bigger. Audio doesn't need headphones, speakers, or screens. Physical contact is enough. Another product that seems like a joke, but isn't, came from Roborock. For years, robotic vacuums solved only half the problem in homes with more than one floor. Stairs were always an insurmountable barrier, until now. The Roborock Hover uses articulated legs moving almost like a mechanical frog, going down step by step and cleaning each surface before advancing. It's slow, but it solves something that millions of homes have accepted as impossible. For the first time, a home robot understands that the house isn't flat, opening up a market that simply didn't exist. In the kitchen, another innovation drew attention for its physics, not its looks. The C200 ultrasonic knife looks common until you turn it on. Its blade vibrates over 40,000 times per second thanks to built-in piezoelectric crystals. The result is less friction, more precise cuts, and half the effort. For elderly people, those with arthritis or loss of strength, this isn't luxury, it's autonomy. Honor took technological excess to another level with something that sounds like cheap science fiction until it works: a smartphone with a built-in robotic arm. The camera extends, rotates, stabilizes, and follows the user autonomously. It's not an external accessory, it's part of the phone. Combining tracking AI, a 3-axis gimbal, and multiple lenses, the device records videos, live streams, and even takes photos of you without a tripod. It's strange to see the phone moving on its own, but after a few minutes, according to those who tested it, it's hard to imagine going back to the old way. If some devices drew attention for moving too much, another drew attention for not touching you. Domomed's Vital Belt measures breathing, pulse, and body movements using millimeter wave sensors, going through clothing without direct skin contact. Instead of wrists or fingers, monitoring happens on the abdomen, a region richer in physiological signals. The result is a subtler reading of stress, posture, and breathing patterns. It's the kind of technology that doesn't ask you to change your habits. It simply integrates into what you're already using. In the end, these innovations have something in common. None seems revolutionary in isolation, but all attack invisible limits we've learned to accept. CES 2026 made it clear that the future doesn't arrive with a big impact. It arrives by solving small frustrations, until, when we realize it, the world already works in a completely different way than we were used to. And perhaps the most impressive thing isn't what these technologies do, but how quickly they start to seem normal, pointing to a profound change: the silent transformation of human experience into a continuous flow of data, fully monitorable. If you enjoyed this video, leave your like, share it, and subscribe to this channel for more tech news. Thank you all very much, and see you next time.